There we go. We're still live. We're still doing the thing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. We're about to interview Sister Lida Christ.
Sipster.
Sister Lida Christ.
And
Sister Char. Cooterie board. Dun, dun, dun,
Yes, there we
dun.
go. Tomorrow we learn colors.
Yes. Are we ready, y'all? Are you ready, Sister Charcuterie board?
I've been ready. I don't see Lida.
She was born.
here I come. Hi.
Sister
Lida
Lida.
is late to her own life.
Honey, you know what? In a perfect world, we would all have, I'd be able to pay for like film crew and a staff, but in this post-apocalyptic reality, we gotta do it for ourselves, honey. We're working 9
You know
to
what?
5.
True. Absolutely. And you know what? I take back what I said. I truly do. Because anyone who cannot see that right now cannot see that you have an entire studio set up in your apartment. And
We
I'll
have
take
multiple
that way.
studios. So I'm so excited to bring you two lovely, lively personalities into the room with me. My name is Sam, aka Bias Handmade, and I'm ecstatic to be interviewing two wonderful human beings. And so let's just start with just a salute, a cheers, if you will, to to life, to us, to friendship, and to learning more about each other.
Char, where's your glass, honey?
Oh, you already know.
There we go. Oh, yes, come on,
That's
Mason
it.
Jar.
And to those at
You
home.
already know. She's in the Midwest, darling.
Yes.
We don't know what wine glasses are.
Mm-hmm. And to those who are sober, water is fine.
Oh, you know what? Actually, water is like, even if you're not sober, go to the kitchen or the bathroom or the shower or the spigot, turn that cold knob on, and
Where are we going
just
with this?
drink some water. Maybe
Drink
don't.
some water. It's
don't-
never a bad thing.
I wouldn't touch the spigot with your mouth right now unless you sanitized it, but you can go ahead and fill a vessel that's, come from your dishwasher.
In these
And
trying
all those
times,
things.
don't put your mouth on the water spigot. We know you did it before, but now don't do it.
Giardia.
So, Sister
Welcome
Lida
to
Christ.
stage, Lida Ardia.
Ooh, she got a wonky eye, Giardia.
You got a wonky eye. You know she do.
So, to remind our viewers, Sam, myself, I'm sitting here with Sister Lida Christ and Sister Charcuterie board here on the screen behind me. We've had several questions come in the past couple of hours from viewers, from fans, from saints, from other sisters. And so I want to kind of just dive in and really use this time that we have together to get to know each other better. So what do you say we start with the first question, shall we?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, great. So first, this is directed towards both of you. Tell me more about the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence and why you each decided to join the order.
I'm gonna ask my little sister to do the elevator speech.
I knew. Oh my God. Let me tell you. I knew as soon as I heard this question that Lida was going to say it's for me to answer. And you know what? I feel confident answering, so thank you, Lida. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence are a modern order of queer clown nuns. And we originated as a group of like ragtag street fair homosexuals just trying to kind of spread joy and scare straight people every day. And then that was in 1979. And then we slowly evolved into a philanthropic nonprofit. I believe we have close to 50 houses all over the world right now.
Okay.
And our mission is twofold. One, we believe in raising money for different, sometimes local, sometimes not so local, sometimes LGBTQIA+, sometimes not, but different charities. I know, Lida, I'm getting it. So, different charities around around our communities, but also to take from Sister Eunice, who we love so much, who was one of my original nun influences back in Boston, that we sisters act as parts of a disco ball and reflect the beauty in our own community. And so I like to go out and to, every time I'm on a mission, every time I'm ministering, to remind people that they're born perfect the way they are, that beauty is a construct in the first place. And if I feel beautiful wearing 30 inches of, clown white makeup, you have the right to feel beautiful however you like. And from there, we here we are today. Over what, 5,000 members strong, Lida, or something like that?
Yeah, just all over the world.
Okay, well then, follow-up question for our sister Charcuterie Board. Why did you join this order of drag clown nuns?
Why did I order drag clown nuns from Chinese buffet? Let me tell you. No. So I was in Boston getting my grad degree, and I was at a medicine wheel, Lida. Yes.
Medicine wheel, yes.
Yeah, medicine wheel event that I believe was on World AIDS Day, and I saw the sisters, and I remember thinking, I was pretty immersed into popular drag culture, I guess, at the time, and I had seen some images of sisters that I always struck my eye because I knew they had a facet of social organization and social justice. But these were the first time I saw them in person. I believe, Lida, weren't you there? Weren't you one of them?
I was there, yes. That's Medicine Wheel, which is by Michael Dowling, and it's a amazing year-round art initiative that remembers those that we've lost to HIV/AIDS. So yeah, we were at Medicine Wheel and continue.
So we were at Medicine Wheel, and I saw the sisters, and I remember thinking they're so beautiful. So I went up to them, and then they, like anyone who is interested, will most likely tell you, seek us out, come to a meeting. My internet connection is unstable. I am unstable. I will try to slow down.
Aren't we all?
But I came to a first meeting, and I was hooked. Here I am. Wow. Theater, fun, mischief, beauty, white wine. Why not?
Wow, that's a really interesting story, and I've heard about that event, and I've never made it myself, and so I think that's really powerful that that's where you kind of discovered this, this kind of like opportunity for yourself to kind of take the next step.
Absolutely, immerse yourself into the queer arts, and something good will always happen.
I agree with that statement for sure. Sister Lida, tell us more about the mission and what kind of pulled you in?
Sure. I'm going to rabbit hole because I am an ADHD personality. So first of all, to all my ADHD random creatives out there, I see you. This is going to be called clump logic. Clump logic is when you hear something and then you go, oh, that sounds like this thing, so I'm going to go talk about that thing. Then I'm going to rabbit hole back, as Fagala likes to say, to the topic. So follow me here.
Okay.
This medicine wheel was super powerful, Char and Sam, because the sisters were able to provide a grant to Medicine Wheel, but in that grant, it wasn't a requirement, but we requested that the nuns of the above squares panels would be included. And so in order to order those squares, there's 4 of them. You have to order all 4. They have to travel together.
Are they pre-made?
Yes, so it's a square. They're squares of the quilt from the 80s, from the AIDS quilt.
AIDS quilt.
Yes,
okay.
And it's a sunburst, and in each ray of the sun is a different sister's name, and then radiating out is little nuns with veils, and so I'm gonna make it a point at every medicine wheel moving forward. But what I did was I came in with some items that are magical to me, and sister glitter, which for those of you that don't know, sisters have their own glitter, and it's part of a radical fairy tradition, which you can look that up later. I'm not going to rabbit hole again, because Lord knows if I do that, it's...
Well, glitter, we could spend the whole time talking about
Yes.
sacred glitter, different kinds of glitter, the significance of glitter,
Right.
so yeah.
So I went with this sacred glitter, which has ashes of dead nuns in it, and I was able to kind of meditate with these panels in privacy before the public. Got to be with them, and I unfolded each one. And if you've never had the opportunity to touch the AIDS quilt, like, friggin' go do it. So let's lead back in now to why did I join the sisters? So let's go back 7 years ago.
We're going back. We're going back. Yep, we're here. We're 7 years ago. We've arrived.
Here we are.
Turn the camera on that you're filming so I can see you, or is that not a thing?
That is not
Not a
possible.
Not possible. Never mind. Forget I said it.
And I'm sorry for the delay that you're getting from Facebook, because I feel like you might be watching on Facebook, but just trust that you're beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I agree.
Great. So I was a professional bingo player with like Noye Brown West. Is that thunder?
Yeah.
You know, thunder only happens when it's raining.
Yeah.
So I was playing bingo at Club Cafe, and the sisters kept walking in, and initially I was intrigued, and then I was annoyed, and then I was intrigued again, because I was like, oh, here are these, like, who are these crazy people, and why are they asking for money? And then you hear their elevator speech, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then a member who is no longer with us, Dakota Apple / Donna Condom, who was responsible for Nunch, that was her novice project.
Not a condom, I can't.
She was like, hey, Michael, I'm going to be going to this meeting at Commonwealth Avenue, and if you would like to come with me, it's about the sisters. And, you know, little did I know at the time, but that was, you know, Lavinia Always, Sister Light of Christ, and Gloria Alleluia, we all started at the same time at that meeting. And so I was born in 82. I lived through like Matthew Shepard.
Mm-hmm.
I was like at the tail end of the AIDS crisis. So like I totally have, I think, like a really good understanding of the modern queer movement. And, you know, for those of you that don't know, Massachusetts has got it pretty great. Like we've always like kind of led the way for LGBT rights and
healthcare, yeah.
And so, you know, when I was in college, when I was like 21, I was like, you know what, like fuck it. I'm not gonna be a freedom fighter. I'm not getting on a bus. Like I've got the things that I need. I'm not gonna get rid of my Massachusetts license no matter where I go to grad school. Like this is my home. Because Massachusetts at that point might as well have been its own country in the Union.
You're talking about 7 years ago now.
Like, yeah, 7, well, even before that.
Is,
like, let's say 10 years ago.
This
like
is
10,
2010,
12.
around that time.
And so this little activist kind of went dormant.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was at this meeting
She was
for the sisters, within the course of like 2.5 hours, Sister Rosetta, Eunice, Ima, Bimea, Dearest, Caught in the Headlights, and Christ Almighty, they were listing off, I think, about 35 organizations that they were planning to help that month. And this little activist that has been an activist my entire life, she was like, I've been quiet for 10 years, and bitch, I just turned the gas on and lit a match. And I was hooked. I was like, I am in it. This is a vehicle for change.
So then what really grabbed you in was it really activated your activism. I mean, you kind of got, you had heard about the sisters, you had seen the sisters at events, but you were really kind of inspired by the different organizations, the different kind of actual change that was happening on the grassroots level.
Well, something, yes, and something, I'm looking at you, Char, something that I realized, I identified in that moment was I had found my tribe. I went, I don't have to do this alone anymore, and there are other people that feel the same way I do, and we can all share the burden and the load and the joy and the work and the pain and all of the things we can share. And when you start sharing things, it gets so much easier.
How much easier? A ridiculous amount easier. A life-changing amount worth of easy.
Oh my gosh.
Well, so tell me more about, so you kind of talked about the sisters and kind of like what the sisters do in general. I understand that both of you started at the Boston house, but now you're in different houses, correct?
Correct.
Sister Char, you're calling from Cincinnati. So what are the different flavors between the Boston house? What's the Cincinnati house like?
Oh, I love this question.
I mean, are there differences, or is
say-
it generally the same no matter where you go?
I mean, granted, I can only speak to the Cincinnati house and the Boston house,
Okay.
but I would both say that they are very similar houses in different levels of development. The Boston house has been, what, 10 years, 11, Lida?
Like 10, 11, 12, yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So the Boston Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence are like a decades old established nonprofit queer machine. You know, and that's great, and that certainly has its pluses, and it certainly has just its own flavor. There are no minuses that come with it. It's just its own flavor of activism.
Yeah.
But I found that my experience was so well-rounded that when I came to Cincinnati, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. And what I've been met with in Cincinnati is our own sense of like get it done. Our own sense of, for the last like 6 months, I'm really, really proud to have said that we've been a much more public figure financially, just in the zeitgeist, physically.
Wow.
And we're really all enjoying the fact that we're able to have in our community. One thing I will say, I guess, between, and this is like no tea, no shade, no pink lemonade, like nothing like that. Just, you know, answer the question.
Do spill.
The Cincinnati house is not afraid to get a little kookier than the Boston house.
Ooh, interesting.
I would say the Cincinnati house is a bit campier. And, you know, for a big old queen like me, look how white my teeth look in this blue. Bitch, like Brooke Shields.
Just get distracted. Come back.
I love, she's getting progressively closer.
The Cincinnati house is a little campier. The Boston house is a bit more structural. I'll say that.
More structural. Oh, interesting. Oh, that sounds interesting. Like it could make for really fun, kind of campy events, and you have your own maybe style when it comes to like organizing.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, when it comes down to it, it's what I said in the beginning. Is the Boston house has been around for like 8.5 longer, more years.
Okay.
So they've got this shit down to a science.
So, Sister Lida, do you feel like you're part of the old establishment? Is it rigid? I mean, you're dressed in Elizabethan attire, I can see. Are you just dusting off the powdered wig? Like, how does Boston roll? How does the Boston Sister House roll?
Right, so there's a few things that are important. Again, like no tea, no shade, no pink lemonade.
Throwing that right back, yeah.
So the first thing is, and I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna rabbit hole again. There's a few.
Warning.
There are a few points that I'd like to make. One is that I consider myself and I consider Char one as well, a nun without border. And a nun without border is a nun who, in this radical organization that we have, we call ourselves modern queer clown nuns, and so that doesn't stagnate. And so there's this movement of nuns without borders, which are nuns that hop around from place to place.
Okay.
And like I'll be in Cincinnati and I'll be there to support Char at one of her events, and Char will come to Boston for Straight Pride, or Fegala from the Music City Sisters and I will plan an event in Iceland, or there'll be, two sisters that are in Puerto Vallarta that plan an event. And it's these nuns without borders taking the ministry out, which is how you seed an idea. All you need is to plant a seed and an idea will flourish.
So you're spreading your seed across the globe is what you're saying.
Can I tell you what I heard? Because my computer went out. I heard all you need is STD.
All you need is the seed.
All you need is an STD.
So there's that point. Now, in the no tea, no shade, no pink lemonade,
yes, darling.
So Boston is one of the founding cities of our nation. And inherently, what does that mean?
Oh, she about to go this way.
We're going all the way, guys.
This way.
Inherently, Boston.
She straight up said Boston is the tits.
So, no, it comes with a weight, honey. It comes with the weight.
You're right. You're no tea. shade nor pink lemonade received on this side. I'm gonna go grab my computer charger. I'll be right back.
So there is, not necessarily stigmatizing, but there is what I like to call maybe inherited guilt and inherited judgment in New England cities. And it's real, y'all. I know, if you grew up here, you're like, what? Grow a thick skin. But if you have friends that move here from the outside, they're like, I've been here 2.5 years and I haven't made a single friend. And I'm like,
yes. As someone who was born and raised in the greater Boston area, yeah, it's a thick skin. It's, we've got a bite, we've got an edge. We like to keep people at bay. And so you're saying that this kind of culture kind of contributes to your ministry, or?
Well, so where it comes into is in our training, we've got what we call the Boston Globe standard, which is if you're going to do something, anything,
okay,
and you're representing your nonprofit, imagine the thing that you're doing as the leading story in your newspaper.
So like headline, newsletter.
It can, it has, and it will continue to.
Right? So like for instance, we did Drag Queen Story Hour at the Boston Public Library.
Okay.
And it went so well. But there's one troll who runs an organization, which will not be named, that picked it up and then sent it nationally and then internationally. And BPL got so much flack for having an organization that was anti-Christian. And the last time I checked, Char, I'm not anti-Christian at all. I think every teaching, as long as it's not doing harm to yourself or somebody else, is a teaching that's worth learning and considering.
Mm-hmm. Very Unitarian of you.
Well, I mean, we only live this life once, and if I am gonna have an eternal life, I want to go to that eternal life knowing that I treated every person with dignity, kindness, and with like a fair shot. I'm not going to discredit someone because of their skin color, their creed, who they want to sleep with, what their education is, what language they speak.
So you kind of named the elephant in the room, which I assume might be an elephant in a lot of rooms you might enter, is, okay, you're nuns, ? So what's kind of the overlap between a sister of perpetual indulgence and a sister of perpetual indulgence? As being like, what's the difference between religious ministry and what drag clown nuns are doing? Is there an overlap? Is it blasphemous? Is it irony? Is it satire? Or is it a different thing? And maybe
I would love.
That question goes over to you.
I personally, and this is, let me preface this by, I have been an actor, a performer, professionally since I was 5 years old. So and that's not like, a humble brag, fine, whatever. But what I'm immersed in is the act of theater and the idea of one thing can mean something over here and something else can mean something over here. And I think the main difference, honestly, between what like a more traditional nun may bring to their community and what we bring to our community is simply like nomenclature. If you break it down by our morals, and if you break it down by our actions, we are here to support our immediate and not so immediate communities via different tools. And when I responded to, so the reason I'm so passionate about this is because I had this exact same question here in Cincinnati, which is a bit more, I guess, religiously conservative than Boston.
Oh, interesting.
And we had a lovely conversation about the idea of, are you asking, am I doing the exact same steps as what a nun in a religious order am? Absolutely not, nor am I pretending to. And are the results the same and or similar? Absolutely. So if you're the type of person who wants to get hung up on, well, I guess you can deem this blasphemous, or I guess you could deem this like county or counter religion or counter spirituality, then I think we're just going to disagree on a lot of stuff. And I'll still reach out to you and I will still try to minister to you. but I'll devote my energy to people who can hear the message.
Mm-hmm. Fair point. So essentially that, the attire might look different, but the morality and the kindness behind the message is still very much the same.
Absolutely. And it comes down to we're using our own personal tools to benefit a greater good.
And our own kind of cultural access points.
Absolutely.
Lida?
So 4 years ago, I flew into San Francisco, and I needed help figuring out how to get from SFO into the city. And so I went to, ye old help desk shoppy. And when I was there was a little old woman, and I sometimes, who can say why you gravitate to the person that you gravitate to ask for help? But I selected this individual, and she was a nun. And I had my name tag like on my blazer with a brooch, and she had a visceral reaction, and she was like, "You're one of those."
Oh, she knew. She knew.
Famous.
Yeah, but it was visceral, and she went, "I have to tell you that I take so much offense to what you do." And so I just went, "Okay, first of all, I first of all listened and was compassionate." And then I just said, "Listen, I can't speak for my entire order, but here's what I can tell you from my perspective." I said, "I grew up Roman Catholic, and I respect teachings. I respect where we come from, but here's the hitch, honey."
Henty.
I said, we have two philosophical, not religious, we have two philosophical tenets in our organization, and I'm going to break them down. I'm going to list them one at a time.
This is good.
Break them down.
The first one is to expiate stigmatic guilt. And so I said, I have to say to you, although we both will support children, we will both maybe buy Christmas presents and help clothe and feed the homeless and talk to those that are in pain and distress and uplift our communities. I said, what I don't do is tell somebody they're going to hell for being something that is other than what we pick and choose from a book to believe is holy and righteous. I said, that's stigmatic guilt. And there's no time anymore for that. And the other thing that we do
is really spilling the tea over here, Sam.
Is promulgate universal joy, which means to the best of your ability, right? So we all have our own internal brain chemistry, but to the best of our abilities, we should be able to wake up every morning and go, "Holy shit, I'm alive. What a gift. What am I going to do today?" And then at the end of the night, here's the tail end, right, guys? It's not just waking up and being grateful. At the end of the night, it's going, here's where I succeeded, here's where I failed, and it's okay that I failed. And maybe here's where I hurt someone, and do I need to circle back tomorrow? Or did they hurt me? Is it a real hurt? Like, it's a lot of introspection and talking, because it's so easy to self-isolate and say that I know the way things are. But let me tell you, from my perspective, if I've learned anything in 37 years, it's that I have no frigging clue what the hell is going on. And I am constantly, Sam is my roommate, he can attest, I am constantly going, what do you mean by this? Am I doing this wrong? Is this what are our boundaries? How do we expiate stigmatic guilt and promulgate universal joy? So to package it for you, I think that I'm a nun. I know I'm a nun. And I may not practice chastity or poverty, but when I spend this much money to look this unfuckable, it all washes out at the end of the day. Let me tell you.
Well, I really appreciate the dual messages of expiating stigmatic guilt and
promulgating universal joy.
That's the one. Because I think that, with all its cultural baggage, the Roman Catholic Church and many other churches and many other, religions that have evolved over centuries, I think they've maybe evolved with or without the inclusion of gay people and queer people and same-sex couples and same-sex love and romance. And I think that inclusion is really critical at this time, and not inclusion to the detriment of, the message, but you can really rally around a message and it just naturally includes everyone. And I think that's one thing that the sisters have done really well.
Well, and even cross-cultural and cross-economic status. Like,
yeah,
it's what it's about is we need to mix. We need to mix and we need to integrate.
So we're about halfway through our time, and so I want to use the rest of our time wisely. So I want to get into the nitty-gritty of sistering. Earlier you were going live, and both of you sisters were working really hard on your makeup, and a lot of work goes on behind the scenes. So I want you kind of, maybe this is Char, this is a question for you or both of you. What is the ritual significance of makeup? Why whiteface? And why do you put this much time into your appearance? Like, what is that?
Char, do you need anything?
No, I'm just trying. No, I'm trying to listen. The still off at my end. But no, I'm good. What I could use, is some more wine.
Yeah. So maybe Lida, you want to feel this first?
Yeah. Why don't you take a second to grab yourself some wine, or was it just a sip? You just needed a sip.
Oh, I just needed a sip.
Oh, well, okay. Go ahead, honey. Answer that question.
Well, Lida, I'll let you answer the history behind the whiteface, because I know a bit, but I'm sure you could do it much more justice. But I would love to speak to, my reasoning behind my aesthetic.
Do tell.
So first of all, go ahead. Yes.
Do tell.
I see and again, as a theater person, I think I'm a little predisposed to this way of thought. I see all this as the first step you can make, even before audibly communicating with a human being, of of piquing interest, and of showing beauty, and presenting oneself as a polarizing figure, certainly, but as a figure that you want to talk to. I mean, the amount of times that I think we all try to do a fair amount of being proactive and having people come up to us. But I view my makeup and I view the time and effort I put into my makeup as a gateway for someone to come up to me and say, "Oh, so why the way? Oh my God, you look so beautiful." And I go, "I do. Thank you." But for me, I use it as a tool to start conversation. And but it also, I think that the schematics behind what the makeup looks like, frankly, is more personal than what it should be. Anyone can do any type of makeup that they like, to any type of degree that they like.
Would you say it's more of an expression?
And absolutely, it's an expression. And something that I find our members are guards, which are more, correct me if I'm wrong, but male presenting members of the sisterhood.
I would say
changed the math. Yeah, help me out.
I would say that guards don't have a gender, but the easiest definition would be sisters protect the community and guards protect the sisters.
Guards protect the sisters. There you are. T, thank you for that. I appreciate. Guards certainly do not have a gender. But they paint a different style. They paint in a strip, and they can do really cool and fascinating things with that. But yes, Sam, to sum it up, there's no 1, 2. There are simple rules on how to apply shadow and contour and this and that. But once you get past knowing what to do, you're free to do whatever you like.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's really freeing, because I wasn't sure if there was a prescriptive way to do things or if there were rules.
There are, and I know this is different per house, but generally you are presented as as an aspirant, which is the first level of commitment with the sisters. You are presented with a very rudimentary form of makeup, whether that be, and again, it's very different. In the Cincinnati house, once you claim aspirancy, then you are given once you claim aspirancy, you are welcome to meetings. Once you are a postulant, you are provided with a lipstick, and then you learn different phases of the face as you progress. A lot of sisters, and a lot of sisterhoods across the country don't just say, okay, you have white face and you have brows and everything right off the bat, but there's a lot of logic and theory behind that as well. Lida, can you talk a little bit about the Boston makeup progression?
Yes. And it's also sort of my own philosophy. Exactly. The first is that whiteface provides anonymity. It provides anonymity for me, but it also provides anonymity for you. And what does that really mean? That means that when you don't know who you're talking to, you might be more inclined to say anything. And I often find that people open up to this presentation of reality more than if you were just to walk up to on the street to someone and go, hey, what's going on? So
yeah, absolutely. Tell me about what you're guilty of.
When Char talks about these steps, right? So it's really great that you brought those up. To become a sister of perpetual indulgence, there are steps. There's aspirancy, where you are checking it out, and you're saying, I would like to aspire to become a sister, and the sisters are going, well, let me check you out, let me see what you're doing, let's talk about it, let's make sure this is consensual, let's make sure it's a good fit. Then there's postulancy, where generally there's a standard uniform and very minimal makeup. It's the first time that they can wear whiteface, and that helps them feel like they're part of the bigger whole, and to help them be iconically identified, but it also sets them in a way that perhaps they're not necessarily having to do the full engagement, because you're not only learning like history, queer theory, how to be a nun, you're learning how to handle. I just heard today that I tested positive for HIV. I just found out that my son tried to kill himself last night. And like those are some like major topics. Or on the flip side, like we're getting married tomorrow. Oh, I happen to be like ordained. Do you want to do it tonight, like in secret? We can do it right now. We've got witnesses. Come on. Like there's so much unspoken, unseen, behind the scenes social contract that happens where you're like, you literally go through a 12 to more month training cycle to figure out how to identify, triage, intervene or not intervene in any number of situations, and also how to ask for help. I think asking for help, like, where sisters aren't always shaking people down for money, but I know like asking for monetary help is super uncomfortable. But we call them elevator speeches. So in this time period where we're learning how to develop this exterior presentation, we're also learning how to do the ministry. And the other thing that people maybe not necessarily know is sistering doesn't end when the makeup comes off. There's a whole history. It's called the sister missionary position. She's one of the founders, and it's called Mish Face, and it's sistering without makeup. Part of the folklore is that these sisters, the originating sisters, some of them painted this likeness on their face so that, you know, they were hookers and they didn't want their Johns knowing that they wouldn't have been as marketable if they were like, oh, you're part of that weird queer like community of drag freaks. And it's like, yeah, I am, and I'm friggin' proud of it. But like when you can compartmentalize the superhero or the nun by putting on the costume, it helps you have also a secular life.
I think that's really interesting in terms of what you were talking about at the beginning about the anonymity. You know, I think what I've learned through you and through others is that, you know, the sisters really started at a time where people still now in 2020 are at risk of losing their jobs, are at risk of losing their families and their friends. But in the 70s and 80s, this risk was even higher than it is now. And so the anonymity, the white face, was really to conceal identity. And also, I think I like what you're saying about for the nun and for the person, you know, interacting with them.
Well, may I add just
Yes.
a quick note as well?
Yes.
One of the aspects of my ministry that I learned in the Boston House quite well was the whole idea of camp and how humor can play as an incredible mechanism to lower guards and facilitate that conversation, like Lida was talking about. And so one of the aspects that I love about sistering is you might not be able to see it now, but I have like a little frock on, but under that, you know, I'm rocking tennis shoes and like sweatpants.
Yes.
And I would still be considered a valuable member, like a public member of the sisterhood. What I like is that we don't take ourselves too seriously in our getup.
Yes.
I mean, I'm keeping my beard. Like,
yes.
I'm very much just a dude wearing 3 inches of grease paint.
Yes.
This is how I feel comfortable. But this is kind of a signal to say I'm already the weirdest one in the room. I am already the human being, and selectively so, on a voluntary basis. I am already the human being that, you know, if someone feels uncomfortable, they're going to go, oh, what's that fucking nun dude person is over there? And so, cool, I got that.
Yeah.
So let me take that on, and so you can feel more comfortable in your space.
And to quote Sister Eunice, we call it, as the sacred clown nuns of our community, our job, our purpose is to extend the tent of inclusion.
Yes.
So by pulling at the fibers of reality, if you're the person that's alone at the club and it's going, or at the bar, or at the fundraiser, and you're like, God, I'm not wearing the right shoes, or I just don't belong here, and we walk in, like, on the very basis level, you can be like, well, at least I'm not that. But also, like, we are instant normalizers, because by being so abnormal, the bar, that the dynamic, the establishment everything goes topsy-turvy.
Well, I think this is really good information for people to know, because especially as kind of like the understanding, the tent of inclusion gets bigger and bigger, we understand that, like, okay, I could see an example of, like, being at an event and being like, you know, if I was like a person with dark skin tone, being like, why would I join the sisters? They're wearing whiteface. But when you understand that the intent is not only for, like, concealing identity, but also humor, and that goes back to clown roots, you know, of, like, really truly kind of like bringing that humor, bringing that camp, like you were talking about, Sister Char, and really truly anyone of any skin tone, you know, any makeup, persuasion, can feel free to kind of like express themselves through those kind of historic roots.
Yes.
And humor is a wonderful tool for kind of addressing the darkest parts of ourselves, the darkest parts of our community, and shedding lights on other serious issues, like, you know, so many of the organizations that I would say you raise funds for. So funneling a little bit to...
Are they going to kick us out soon?
Yes, go ahead.
Are they going to kick us out soon?
No, I think actually, so this is a consent question.
Ooh.
Okay.
It would appear that the conversation is still happening past the 40-minute mark. So, you know, frankly, I don't know what's happening over there in your world, but I could keep doing this until you run out of questions. I don't know. You know, we had blocked an hour, but if you guys are having fun, I'm having fun.
Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
I'm willing to continue to have this conversation until we run out of conversation.
Yes. You know what? Any time that I'm on camera, I'm willing to keep being on camera.
Okay, perfect. It's agreed. It's settled.
Great. I'm gonna check in over there while you ask your next question.
So, Sister Char,
Yes,
then.
I'm ready, Samuel.
Okay, wonderful. I wanted to know more about the present moment and specifically this pandemic. You know, a lot of people are scared, a lot of people are confused, a lot of people are suffering, some people are just fine. But I want to know, how is this pandemic affecting what you're doing and your work with the sisters?
You know, it's really interesting. I was having a conversation via phone, social distancing, don't blame me,
Keeping your space, yep.
about this with a friend earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was saying is, it really speaks to the power of not only like the religion of drag and the pragmatic action of drag, but specifically of sistering, that we're having this conversation tonight. Like, you cannot keep us down. We will adapt. We will promote. We will be actionable. And the fact of the matter is I think that honestly falls back to just the spirit of being queer in the first place.
The resiliency.
This is not the first time that I've been met with adversity, because my normal mode of living is a little bit different. And so I think it speaks to the power of us, sisters, as queer symbols. And not every sister has to identify as queer, but we are certainly queer symbols nonetheless.
That's a good point.
We will, we're not going anywhere.
I think that's true of a lot of marginalized folks, certainly African Americans, immigrants, disabled folks. You know, we've all been here before. This ain't nothing new. This struggle isn't nothing new. So
Absolutely.
I think that's a really interesting point that you brought up.
Everybody, if you haven't yet, please go get yourself some water.
And I believe Sister Lida
My water
went on a
is
potty break.
wine flavor.
It's good.
Do you need to take a potty break?
No.
Here, do you want some of this?
Nope.
You don't want any more?
no.
Okay. Hold on.
Yes.
First of all, the first thing is being queer does not mean that you're gay.
Correct.
Queer narrative and queer history is a way of, in theater and like in Laban movement, if you're like saying, movement. Point over there, right? Like maybe non-queer. Yes, Sam is doing a great example.
Pointing.
Right? Non-queer
Laban
people
fan,
might be like,
Laban.
it's over there. It's over there. I don't know how to do it, y'all. But like queer
I
people,
was like, bitch, you are mighty bold trying to explain.
queer people are gonna be like, it's over there. Like queerness is about taking the narrative
Over there.
and elevating it, twisting it, and adding drama to
Yes,
it.
ma'am.
To answer your question about like what's happening in this time right now, if we can talk about our history coming out of the AIDS crisis, if anything, sisters are educators and we are public figures. So stay the fuck at home. Don't go outside. Don't have 6 foot,
Stop doing that.
don't meet with your friends 6 feet away outside. Please just take 3 weeks to stay at home and think about capitalism and how it's maybe not working in this iteration. Maybe call your representatives and your senators. Maybe write the White House. Maybe call your student loan servicer. And when they go, I'm sorry, we're not offering, like this happened to me with my car insurance. They're like, we're not offering anything for COVID-19 right now. Is there anything else that we can help you with? And I was like, you didn't help me at all. No.
Wow.
I'm like, I'm out of work and eventually I'm not going to be able to pay you. Well, we haven't planned for that. And I was, so like,
yeah.
I went a little off a tangent. In this time, nobody has more interest in your life than you do. So think about yourself and think about others and lead with the golden rule. Do as you would want others to do upon to you. If you don't want to get sick, don't get other people sick, because we don't know yet. We don't have the facts. And if we use our queer history, it's so easy, no offense at all. This is not stigmatizing, but for the youth that's coming up, so let's say from birth to 28 right now, who maybe didn't have people that were HIV positive come into their high school and talk about the amount of drugs that they have to take to live, or talk about what it was like when they didn't know what was happening, or when it was called, gay-related immunodeficiency, GRID. Like, we don't know what's happening, but we also know that it's not as bad as it could be. It's still not great. But a sister is telling you, just, take 3 weeks and stay at home.
I think what you're both saying about the fact that at this point, right now in history, we're all kind of confused and scared and quarantined. What can sisters be doing, and how does that work look like? I think that elevating the stories of queer history is really important, specifically around HIV and AIDS. And in fact, I've heard, White House officials say that we've been delayed in our response because we've been working so hard behind the scenes implementing what we've learned from AIDS. We've been doing the X, Y, Z, and the other thing because of what we learned from AIDS. And I think that is a powerful message. And unfortunately, it's taken decades too long to implement. But I think here we are, and people have actually listened and learned. No one's perfect, y'all. No one's perfect, y'all. But I think the more we can listen to those stories, those histories, those narratives, we can implement actual real policies and practices to kind of put into place right now in this emergency.
And if you're listening from the Rust Belt or states that maybe have voted red right now, let me just tell you that if your local government is not telling you to stay inside, then they are not doing you.
You gotta stay inside.
They are not doing you good service. Boston was 2 weeks late. I had friends from Rome that were, they warned me and I warned my house, and our whole house decided to make a move. And 5 days after we decided to make a move was when our local government made the move. Yeah. And it's just, we're a little bit behind the curve. So if you're in a place and you're going, well, we're just going to wait and see, there is no wait and see. It is in your community. So just do normal things.
Follow-up question. So given that this is where we're at and this is where we've come from, where do you see the next 5 years, 10 years? Where do you think, why do we need drag clown nuns in 10 years? And what do you see yourself doing with the sisters? Or what do you see the sisters doing in the future, in this uncertain future?
Guilt is an inherited experience.
Correct.
And until we can break that cycle, there will be sisters in the way that you see us right now. I don't know if we're ever going to go away. I hope that we don't. But I know, even through the way, and this is no tea, no shade, no pink lemonade, Ooh. Even through the way that we have reacted to each other in our 3-person household dynamic. on this floor, on this dynamic, there have been, whenever population is scared, or really it's only whenever humanity is scared, it lashes out. So, maybe the sisterhood is part of a overarching narrative to elevate human consciousness, and by that I don't mean some like hoo-ha crystal thing, even though I've got crystals
that's absolutely
and hoo-ha. But what I mean is, we need to start focusing on less of the I need and start talking more about the what do we need. And we does not include you and I. We includes the duck and the turkey that is angry and trying to attack our cars. Like, why?
It's
Why
real.
is the turkey doing that? Why are
We need
there
to think
more
more about the
coyotes?
Yeah, they're wild turkeys.
Right? What do you think?
About the turkeys?
We're thinking beyond the turkeys. Hashtag beyond the
Okay, I
turkeys.
just want to clarify.
Beyond the veil. Beyond the veil. What do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
What does the future hold?
Beyond this veil is some pizza rolls and an unkept bed that is waiting for my existence.
Ooh, she's really selling it.
I was, it kind of relates back to my original sentiment that the sisters will adapt to whatever 5 to 10 years needs of us. I don't think anyone could have expected the type of ministering that's going on in the world right now over a computer screen, over a phone, and yet here we are. And so I don't know if there's really one way to predict how what kind of turn the sisters will make in 5 to 10 years. But I know that whatever our communities need, we will adapt and we will be there.
I appreciate that. I just have 2 more questions for y'all.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, question 1. What would you tell yourself as a child who is dealing with discovering their identity?
That was the question my mom sent. Isn't that such a mom question?
It's a beautiful
Your mom
question.
sent that question?
My mom's a social worker. So
Your
my
mom's
mom
a
sent in that question, and I was like, damn, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's some RuPaul Final Four shit right there.
Here we are. We're there.
Yeah. I would just say, you know what? Stay around the people who love you, and that can be your immediate world. And that will be difficult, but as you grow older, you will have more control over the people that you let into your life. And so, if you are proactive and intentional with the energy that you allow you in your life, which becomes easier as you grow older. I'm only 21, so. And not 21. 20.
Timeless.
But as you grow older, it becomes easier. But I would tell my young self, listen, buckle down, because this is going to be difficult. But you will be better. Absolutely.
I would say under no circumstances should you minimize yourself.
Correct.
You are strong, you are beautiful, and you are enough. And by don't minimize yourself, that also means, as hard as it might be, stand up for yourself. When someone says, as long as you're not killing yourself or hurting somebody else, if someone goes, you're not good enough, you go, who the fuck are you?
Right.
Like,
you say, go by.
You go adamantly, no. Because self-doubt is reaffirming, but other people's stigmatic guilt is also an echo chamber. And if you don't put up if you don't
build the wall,
or it's not like a wall, if you don't say stop, it won't stop, because by minimizing yourself, you're saying it's okay, you're right, I'm less than, I'm a minority, you're straight, you're normal, so you must be right, I'm obviously wrong. None of you are wrong, you're all beautiful.
You're all beautiful, and I would say find an outlet. For a lot of people, I know for me it was theater.
Yeah.
Right, find your tribe.
A community, find an outlet that you can start to love you. Because the more and the sooner and the more consistently that you say, you know what, haters, you may feel some type of way about me, but that is what you feel about me. I love me. And that becomes easier as you start to incorporate things that you love doing into your life.
I think this is an especially important message for people who are women people who are feminine and people who are young to really hear, because I think these are populations who are especially vulnerable to just kind of cultural kind of minimizing, like you both were talking about. Second to last question, before I open it up for more questions. So hearing all these wonderful things about the sisters, if we have listeners out there, viewers out there who are saying, I love the sisters, but I cannot become a sister for whatever reason, what are some of the lessons that they can take away, and how do they achieve that kind of essence of sisterdom without becoming a sister themselves?
You already are.
Yeah, you already are.
You are already enough. You don't have to do what we do in order to support your community. Just practice expiating stigmatic guilt and promulgating universal joy. Which the hardest part of that is doing it to yourself.
Oof.
Right? I spent
doing it to myself all the time.
I spent 2 years forgiving other people before Sister Rosetta said to me, when was the last time you forgave yourself? And I went,
Rosie.
I was like, it was like so many atom bombs had already gone off in my life, in my sister journey, and then she dropped like the biggest, like the dinosaurs turned their heads as her comet came into the atmosphere. And I was like, oh, this is a global change in life. Because when you stop hating yourself, you become kind.
Sister Char?
What? Oh, unless the lessons, I would say, whatever you want to do, as simple as it sounds, do it. Do it. Because it comes...
Come back.
Did we lose her?
I remember...
oh, she's here.
It comes down to me... Again?
You're back. We lost you for a second.
Okay.
You're back.
This is a story that happened in my...
Oh, we're unstable.
Right? It might be us.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes,
we're
we can hear you.
We're good.
We're back.
Oh, gee. Okay, then I'm going to keep on going.
Go.
So, I have a hat, like this hat that I wear to work sometimes. And this was an example of how you can minister and sister when you are not wearing all of this. And I remember a coworker came up to me and, oh, I wish I could wear that hat, or I wish I could wear that red lip. And I said, you know what? You put the hat on. You're wearing the hat. Put that red lip on.
You did it. Ta-da!
Send that email. Do that workout.
I love that motivation.
Yes, yeah. So it's like you have, barring a couple things, you have a lot of control over very tiny things in your life. Not much larger things, but some tiny things. And so the last person holding you back should be you. Yeah.
I learned this from Sister by Mia. Sister by Mia Ferrari, a Boston sister. I will not tell you when to use this trick, but this trick as a sister has been so useful to me, and it is, all right, are you ready? Like, memorize this and use it someday at work.
Okay.
Ta-da! You did it! Hooray! Right? Like, I use it when I'm at the Pilgrim Monument in Provincetown, when I see people climb up the stairs and then make it to the top of the hill, I go, hooray! You're here! Like, so as long as you're not self-serving with it, or...
It's a fine line. It's
a really fine line balance. So you've got to and also, you're not going to get it right the first time, and that's okay. But sometimes people just need a fucking ta-da. And
we need an applause.
it.
We need just
right.
a boost.
I see you.
Yeah, we need to be seen. So that's all the questions I think we have time for tonight. I think that this isn't so much as an end to a conversation, but a real opening to a new conversation. If viewers, if we missed your question, if you have more questions, please connect to a sister in a social distancing manner, physical distancing manner.
Social distance, everyone.
Yeah, that's right. Connect, but via technology.
10
y'all.
feet. 10 feet.
10 feet, y'all. I think if we can end with some final words. Again, my name is Sam, aka Bias Handmade, and we've been spending the last hour asking a sister, Sister Lida Christ, and Sister Char Cooterie Board.
Fabulous.
Final words?
Well, it's a blessing to be a part of my own life and a part of your life. No, it is.
Okay.
It is a blessing to be a part of your own life. Like,
I agree.
to be happy that I'm alive and to not hate myself and to be honest, like when I had a panic attack the other day. I was sitting on the floor of my bathroom, which you've seen, and Sam was in the kitchen and he looked in and he's like, "Are you douching? Why are you on the floor?" And I was like, "I'm having a panic attack." And my roommates both they gave me space, but Matthias and Sam both careened into the hallway. And the only look that you said was I'm holding space for you and it's okay.
I'm glad that came through.
I'm glad that came through. To be able to say, this is who I am, I'm at the table, and this is all that I can do. So thank you for letting me be not only a part of my life, but a part of your life tonight. Char?
Final words. This is an important tenet in my ministry, and I always try to end if I'm having a hosting gig or a public event where they're dumb enough to give me the mic. I always try to end with something similar to. So I'm a teacher by trade, and I've been fortunate enough to teach ages very, very young, 3 years old, to very, very old, like Lida's age. And
Methuselah.
And one thing that I noticed from teaching the youngest of the young is they have not learned the concept of guilt yet. So what will happen is they will break a rule or be 3 and be just like an asshole, and then we'll say, "Okay, 3-year-old, you apologize," and they go, "I'm sorry," and then they keep it moving. And so that taught me that guilt is learned. Guilt is learned and pressed upon us as we grow older and as we immerse ourselves into a society. We learn guilt. But if we learn guilt, that means we can unlearn guilt. And it takes a while, and it takes a lot of different things that it could be done. But what is natural and what happens even at the youngest of ages is love. Love.
The sign language for unlearning.
So I always try to remind people that guilt is fake and love is real.
Yeah.
Well, I love that message.
I love love.
Thank you. Made it myself.
Well, I think that's all for us.
Now, Char, if you'll stay on, in a moment we're gonna sign off, but we'll have our own little powwow because Char has not seen Samurai during this whole.
No, I have no idea what these fuckers look like. I am literally looking at a curtain right now. So for all of you out there,
interview with a curtain,
glamorous life, I haven't seen shit.
If you've stuck with us this long, you deserve a trophy, an award, a new Maserati.
Salute to you.
Salute to you.
Drink water.
Stay
Hooray!
safe. All right.
Okay, we love you. Be safe.
Share love with your friends from a safe distance.
Yes.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.